And welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix Oklahoma. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Jacob Van Lunen, and we're off to a quick start. That's Ben Stark on the left-hand side of your screen. And he has played and sacked a Traveler's Amulet to go get a Swamp. And Shuhei Nakamura on the other side of the screen. You're going to notice that these players play very, very quickly. They're good friends, and they're also, Shuhei Nakamura is ranked number 8 right now, and Ben Stark number 2. You can see that next to their names. That's the parentheses. That's their Pro Magic ranking, top 25. Daxos of Miletus here for Ben Stark. Pretty sweet little start.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's matched up against a 2-3 Flame Speaker Adept from Shuhei Nakamura here. Now,
really the perfect Adept, power and toughness to get in the way of that Daxos.
Oh, exactly. I mean, there are a few things in the set, Fellhide Minotaur, Flame Speaker Adept, that actually can favorably interact with that Daxos. Baleful Eidolon is another one.
Wow, is Shuhei going to attack? This is an interesting decision. Yeah, very aggressive attack. He's going to play a Leaf Crown Dryad and just ship the turn back. He knows he can't race Daxos because you get to gain life if you start flipping, spells off of it. And Shuhei's just going to have to sit back. And there's a Coastline Chimera for Ben Stark, so shields up.
Yeah, and there's nothing bad about a 1/5 flyer here.
All right.
Hold down the fort pretty well.
Now a little pressure here from Shuhei.
Before, and
yes. Ill-tempered,
really strong.
Yeah, ill-tempered Cyclops for Shuhei Nakamura means that he's actually going to be able to start attacking next turn, especially now that he's hit his 6th land drop and can activate the Monstrous. But Shuhei actually just says go here, I believe. I think he puts his opponent on Grip Tide here, and he just doesn't want to get blown out.
Yeah, and by leaving open mana, he does have instants in his hands. If Ben doesn't play something that Shuhei needs to, effectively deal with on Ben's turn, then he can just end step Monstrous the ill-tempered Cyclops and then send it in the next turn.
Okay.
And, not get blown out by Grip Tide.
So I think that Ben Stark is deep in the tank here on end step and deciding if he wants to fire. He does have a Grip Tide in his hand. He kind of telegraphed it by not playing anything on turn 4 there after dropping the Chimera. There's Ben Stark. He is thinking, but he does decide that he needs to do it. And he returns the ill-tempered Cyclops.
Yeah, very strong play there from Shuhei. There are a lot of things that Shuhei was playing around there. Divine Verdict is another card that could have interacted pretty strongly against that Cyclops.
Oh, great call.
Monstrous,
yep, absolutely. That is the other card for sure. And Destructive Revelry is going to take out that Opaline Unicorn. Do a couple of damage to Ben Stark, drop him down to 18 here.
Interestingly enough, Ben is hoping to get up to 6 mana so he can give his Daxos of Miletus Intimidate, and then he can start crashing in. And
with a Cavern Lampad?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's tucking business. All right, so Shuhei just has to replay his ill-tempered Cyclops. He does leave back Leaf Crown Dryad that can actually block Daxos. And there's a return Phalanx there for Ben Stark. It's just going to serve as blocking duty. And Ben's missing land drops. He has been for a while. He's stuck on 4. His opponent now has 7.
Yeah, and we've spoken before about how getting flooded in this format isn't as punishing as it has been in old formats.
Yeah,
and
we see it right here.
Action here.
Absolutely. So Ben Stark says no blocks. Shuhei says sure. I'll make my ill-tempered Cyclops Monstrous. You take 6. That's going to drop Ben Stark down to 10. And Ben's got to start finding some land drops to get out of this mess. Go. And he just says go. Shuhei looks to be in the driver's seat unless Ben can find some way to either... Well, basically he just needs to hit his lands, or if he has any way to interact with the ill-tempered Cyclops, that could also help out a lot. All right, here's 5 mana. It's a Nessian Asp for Shuhei Nakamura. I think he wants to see if it resolves. It does. I think he's actually passed the turn, and then another Grip Tide there, though, is going to set Shuhei back a bunch more mana.
Yeah, but again, you see that Shuhei didn't even bother attacking there.
Yep. Well, and I think that he's playing around
Divine Verdict.
Divine Verdict again, yeah. All right, so here's a Omen Speaker here for Ben Stark. He's going to get a chance to scry to. This is definitely when you want to start scrying to. I see he's got Lash of the Whip. He put something on top, but I couldn't see. I mean, assuming he's just digging for lands here, he's got a bunch of cards in hand.
Yeah, it seems that he probably is putting Lash of the Whip on the bottom here. He has a Sip of the Hemlock in hand. He also has 5 drops in hand. What he really wants here is to be
Lands.
Hitting his land drops. That's the most important thing right now.
Yeah.
We see the power of Scry there.
All right, here comes Nessie and Asp rumbling into the red zone. Ben can block with the Coastline Chimera, but and push Shuhei into Monstrous, and he's going to do that. So there it is. Shuhei taps out, makes Monstrous, and forces a chump block. And there's the land that Ben did put on top. You were right. Put the land on top, push the whip. He was thinking about keeping it because he could play it next turn, but he's got... Oh, that's the 3/3 lifelink.
Yeah, the Sentry of the Underworld.
Yeah, Sentry of the Underworld.
And that's interesting with that. You have to pay 3 life to regenerate it, so it's not quite the forever blocking body.
But it doesn't have lifelink. It has flying and vigilance, right? And you can pay some mana, regenerate, etc. But right now, I think it's just looking to go on regular blocking duty. Let's see what Shuhei has for his turn. Daxos has been interesting this game. It's had an effect on the game, but it hasn't actually swung. It actually hasn't blocked.
Yeah, but in the same vein, it's also prevented Leaf Crown Dryad and Flame Speaker Adept from being part of the game at all.
Yeah, that's the effect it's had. It's been interesting. All right, so Shuhei is in the tank here trying to decide what he wants to do. He's got, 5 cards in his hand right now?
Well, this is an ordeal. An ordeal of Nylea comes down on Flame Speaker Adept here, and that makes it a 3/4. So Ben really doesn't have that many favorable blocks on it. He double block it, but I mean, then he's either going to lose his Sentry or Return Phalanx in the process.
Unfortunately for Ben, Shuhei has 5 mana up in both green and red and can represent any number of removal and or tricks here.
At this point, I don't know if Ben really has the room to play around anything.
I agree.
I think he may just have to throw the Phalanx and the Omen Speaker in front of the Flame Speaker Adept and go down to 2 here. Although it is a very dangerous thing to do.
Looks like he might be lining up a chump block here.
And that's fine also.
Yeah, he does do that. Okay. Uh-oh. Here it is. Titan Strength, I believe, is what he played. +3/+1 and Scry. So let's see. Oh, did he not Scry? Here we go. Sea God's Revenge. I don't know if Shuhei Scryed. I didn't see. That was Titan Strength, right?
Yeah.
All right, so all of a sudden,
I think he did because it gave the Flame Speaker Adept first strike. That's why it lived.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, because it was an X5 and there was 5 points of power. But
is that a lightning strike that is gonna? Yeah, it is a lightning strike, and then the Leaf Crown Dryad's gonna get in for 2, and Nessie and Asp comes back down. So, a lot of mana expended during the course of this game on Shuhei's side, but he's been able to use it up every single turn. And there is Sip of Hemlock to take out Nessie and Asp, and Ben Stark is hanging on for dear life here. Leaf Crown Dryad battles in there. Is going to drop him down to 6, and he's going to replay the Ill-Tempered Cyclops and the Flame Speaker Adept, and things are looking pretty rough for Ben. Let's see if he can come up with a stabilizer. I see he's got a Horizon Scholar in his hand, which would be pretty nice, but that Ill-Tempered Cyclops is very threatening, and he can't find it. That's going to do it.
Yeah, and
it's 4 damage.
If Ben was able to hit his land drops there, that could have been a very different game. But as we saw, Shuhei got flooded out and was able to use all of his mana every single turn. And that's Thorough sealed.
There you go. Shuhei snacking on some edamame there. A little taste of home. It's his power food for a long Magic tournament.
Ooh, dry roasted edamame.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, let's take a look over at Eric Froelich versus Brendan McNamara here. And we have a fully developed board. Wow, okay. Efro says Magma Jet target you.
And it looks
Can we
like
go back to that real quick? I want to see what happens here. Scry 2 looks like both went on the bottom. And I think that's going to drop Brendan either down to 4 or 3. And there's Gray Merchant of Asphodel. We've seen this card around the room, but not on camera yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's going to do it. Eric Froelich looks like he picks up game 1 there against Brendan McNamara. You can never feel good when you're at 5 or 6 or whatever, and your opponent's like Magma Jet U on end step.
Oh yeah,
that's nasty.
It's a scary thing.
There are quite a few ways to get in a lot of reach in red and black, though. The premium best one is that Gray Merchant of Asphodel, but there's also a lot of burn spells that can hit players. You know, we've seen Lightning Strike and Magma Jet like we saw there, and then also the Fanatic of Mogus. Here's Ben Stark, ranked number 2 on the top 25 pro rankings. He's a Pro Tour Hall of Famer as of next week. He's currently elected, will be inducted next week. Platinum Pro, first at Pro Tour Paris in 2011. That was the Cobblade era.
Yeah.
For those that were around for that, it was pretty interesting. He benefited from that deck.
Yeah, long before everybody else benefited, or had their opponents benefit from the power of Cobblade. Ben Stark was the winner.
Here's Shuhei Nakamura, the 8th ranked top 25 pro rankings player, also in the Hall of Fame. He's got a ridiculous resume. 2008 Player of the Year, 5 GP titles, 5 GP top 8s. That's a resume right there.
Yeah, 5 PT top 8s.
Excuse me, 5 PT top 8s. Thank you.
The Pro Tour man. Shuhei.
He has 5 GP
one of the best
titles.
Yeah. 22 Grand Prix top 8s.
Yeah. He's second all time.
I mean, the gravity of 22 Grand Prix top 8s is pretty unbelievable when you think about it. It's like if you spent a year going to 1 or 2 Grand Prix a month. You know, you go to 2 Grand Prix a month every single month, except, you know, December and November because of Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then you top 8 every single one of them.
Yeah.
And that's how many Grand Prix Shuhei Nakamura has
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I brought like everybody, my sister, my girlfriend, my mom and dad, like everybody.
Players are actually talking about that ceremony right now, bringing out some of their family members to watch.
For me, but it's a one-time thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very big deal, I think.
Who did you bring?
It's got to be a huge life moment for these guys because both of them have put so much into Magic over the years. You know, for Ben, there was an interview with him at the World Championship not too long ago where he was talking about, you know, Magic is, besides his parents, the biggest influence on his life, if anything. And I think, you know, Shuhei would probably feel pretty similarly. This is somebody who's, you know, devoted many years of their life to this game.
Yeah, I heard Ben saying that he wanted to have his parents there.
My parents were bagged about Magic.
Oh, they're talking about it right now.
They had never drove me to Q's and, you know, supported me and all that.
All right, friendly banter among the 2 Hall of Fame players here, and a mulligan for Ben Stark. I think Shuhei's kept.
I mean, they both gave a lot of their lives to this game, and I think that they deserve those Hall of Fame berths more than, you know, anybody who didn't get in. I voted for both of them.
Well put.
There is a Josh Utter-Layton
Brainstorm token down there.
Josh Utter-Layton Brainstorm token on the bottom of the screen. The #1 player in the world, Josh
That's right.
Utter-Layton.
We've been showing you guys the rankings. You can see their names at the top. The little 2 next to Ben's name and the 8 next to Shuhei is their top 25 pro rankings, and Josh is #1.
Ugh.
All right, so we
well.
have some keeps. Is it only blue mana
better.
for Ben Stark there? Is that what you're seeing?
He does have an Omen Speaker, though.
All right, so this is he's just gonna He's actually going to think about it, but he's he's got an Ashiok there.
Yeah.
It's got to be sad to ship that away, but he really has to here. He needs to dig for lands. Now, he found a land, though. I don't know if that was really the one he wanted. He's going to just say go. Is it a dissolve at the back of his hand? What does he have at the back of his hand then? All right, here's a Fanatic of Mogus. Interesting. You'd think of playing this kind of last on a cluttered board, but it's still just a 4-2 that pings you.
Yeah.
Ooh, good draw there. A Plains for Ben Stark means that his Doxos of Miletus is going to be on the battlefield. That Fanatic can't get in the way.
No, it cannot, but it looks like there's a lightning strike.
Oh, lightning strikes hard, and down it goes. All right. Things keep moving forward here for Ben Stark. He found a Traveler's Amulet. He's going to crack it right now to go get a swamp. He can make his land drop for the turn.
Back in.
That's true. Good point.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It's got to be pretty nice for him. He was probably not too happy about putting that on the bottom of his library.
No, probably
now it
not.
gets to be anywhere. Maybe it's on the top of his library.
How good is that card against a deck like Shuhei's, though, that's pretty beefy and aggressive?
I mean, in limited, Ashiok is... If you can play that card into a remotely empty board, it's going to be extremely difficult to beat it.
Was that the boon? Was that Erebos' boon?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so he's going to take a couple damage, but he's going to get to keep his Omen Speaker, and he's going to kill the Fanatic. Here's a Nessian Asp, though, and you can see the trend here. Return Phalanx for Ben Stark means that Shuhei's in the driver's seat, though. He doesn't have enough mana right now to actually activate the Asp, but fortunately for him, Ben Stark doesn't have enough blocking power to kill it. So he's going to get in there, and Wild Celebrants is next. It's just a 5-3 on this board. It also kills an artifact when it enters the battlefield, but there wasn't one, so. Shuhei is just playing beef monsters, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's just going
Asp
bigger.
and go bigger, Ill-Tempered Cyclops and Wild Celebrants, and just play huge stuff. I see that he's got, we saw that earlier, the Mist Cutter Hydra.
It's very strong against Ben's deck.
Mm-hmm.
Always a pretty good card in limited.
Yep.
And just paying X green for an XX.
All right, so Shuhei's going to offer the trade Wild Celebrants for the Phalanx here, and it feels like he just has to do it, even though there's all these tricks in removal. All right, and he's going to grip tide the Nessian Asp before damage. That is going to let Shuhei... Oh, Shuhei says, wait a second. Now that you've tapped a bunch of mana, I'll go for Titan Strength. He puts a card back on top thanks to Scry. Then the Nessian Asp goes on top of his library from the Grip Tide, and that gives him enough time to still play Ill-Tempered Cyclops. Quite a sequence there for Shuhei Nakamura.
And it looks like Ben has a Sip of Hemlock in hand, but which of these giant monsters would you like to...
Well, does he have a second black
Drink of
source as
Hemlock?
well? Or?
Yeah, he just drew the swamp.
Oh, okay, great.
Oh, it might be a Freakus Cure. Never mind.
He does nothing. Both of them attacking. Ben Stark's going to chump block the 5. He's going to take 3. No land drop for Shuhei there, so there was going to be no Monstrous on the Ill-Tempered Cyclops, but who cares? Nessian Asp coming down is great. And the Freakus Cure is going to finish off the Celebrants. And another blank draw here for Ben Stark, as he's just going to have to fire off. Is he going to have to kill the Cyclops? What does he kill here? Because if Shuhei draws a land, then the Cyclops is a 6/6. He's still 2 lands away from Monstrous in the Asp, but the Asp is a little bit bigger right now.
I mean, both are 2-turn clocks, like the Cyclops if he draws a land, or the Asp if he doesn't draw a land.
Okay.
Whereas, he needs to draw the land for the Cyclops to be a 2-turn clock. But then it's very clear that he still has gas coming, so at this point, I don't really know if there's anything you can do.
This is a really, really bad spot for Ben Stark, and that's actually... There we go. And it's actually 7, but he's going to call it good, and he shows the top of his deck didn't hold much else for Ben Stark. His deck looks pretty sweet. I like it, but he kind of just didn't have great draws there.
Oh, no. I mean, he mulliganed into a one-lander where he had Omen Speaker and an island in that game, and in the first game he had very, very serious mana issues.
Yeah.
And that's just how this format goes sometimes. I mean, that's how all Magic formats go sometimes.
It's true.
But I have...
He's talking about his deck right now. Let's listen in.
But no planes. I just see Ashiok and 5 mana blue spells. And I have a lot of black spells already.
All right, let's take a look over at the other. We can still hear Ben Stark talking because that's what Ben Stark does, but we'll also be watching our other match here, which was Eric Froelich.
Much bigger creatures.
All right, let's take a look at what's going on here.
So
Ephro has a Vaporkin and a Sea-Lock monster that looks like it has been monstrous. So one of those lands is an island in addition to its other types, and that's allowing an attack. Now, it doesn't have Island Walk or anything like that, but it is an 8/8.
That's
and
pretty
there's
big.
Grey Merchant of Asphodel, and I'm going to assume that that's going to be the game, as there are permanents being picked up, and after taking a hit of 10, a Grey Merchant usually finishes the job.
Yeah,
And that's going to
it.
do it. Yep. Eric Froelich